I went ahead, I forgot, here's the 2010 standard. I'll pass this one around as well. It's got some of the colored pictures in it. I'll start there with Philip. You guys probably, you have them yet? Yes.
When you're talking about polling, it's going to be my leader question. Do you need to kill them right then?
Yes.
If that chick is born, say it has a funky leg, why could you still not let it grow and use the meat later? But don't let it breed.
Okay, did you hear the question? When you got a leg doing a Z shape, all right, why should you cull that, or the meat, why should you cull that immediately? I'm letting you answer. Okay, that could potentially be a genetic issue, so you want to keep it out there. All right, you were saying just growth.
I'm just growing it for
There are other things though.
You want to
Suffering.
Say it again. If you don't do it right away, you won't call it at all. Okay, there's still some survivability. Okay.
It's hard to feed it.
Okay. All right. What were you
I was
going to
going to say the same thing. Tendency is for creatures like that, they don't grow as well.
Even the leg grows, it's
Even
not a
with a leg
feed
like
problem.
that, it becomes a kind of a curve with their growth rate on. You end up feeding them more to get them away.
It's probably just more for me.
But what if they're not? I mean, you can tell they're not suffering.
Well, let me tell you
They're around and
this.
eat.
If you're,
I'm the one with the mama cows that lived at 18.
well, I can appreciate what Cam just said because I think it was true. We realized that when we found this bird with a bad beak, and she's very thin, and she's hanging around the, and Pat says she's always around the feeder, she's actually suffering more by keeping her alive than saying, well, I know you can only get one pebble per day, but we're thankful that you get one. You see what I'm saying? I'm exaggerating the point. Same with a bad leg, okay, is the challenge of getting around to eat and to drink. It's very, very hard on that bird. Let me tell you something else it does. It also hinders the rest of the flock. Okay, so if you've got a bird that's standing or trying to get up through the little door, you know, and slows down, you know, it affects the rest of the flock. Just like, take somebody who has died of an illness in your family. It affects all of us, you know, and I'm not saying we should be killing your family.
Yeah, you
Should
are.
be pulling out the motor. But you understand what I'm saying, and so,
You said it, not me.
so I think the easy thing is what Cam said. I think it's humane. It depends on the degree of the injury too. Like crooked toes, we got crooked toes. Some of those crooked toed birds, you would put them straight. They're eating, they're walking normally. They just got a little bit of a.
So those are okay.
Absolutely.
Pests and disease always prey on the weak first.
Exactly, that's what I want to ask. Will the healthy chickens take one on the sick one?
Yeah, but a physical deformity isn't necessarily a sickness. Crooked toes, crooked beaks could be genetic, but but not something that would, you don't pass on crooked beak syndrome.
No, what I meant is, if you have a healthy flock, wouldn't those chicks attack the sickly one?
Pick on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, kill it maybe even.
Absolutely, that can
Because
happen.
I've seen pigs
Yep.
just being born, right? They were like 4 or 5 healthy piglets born, and then there was a little runt. The next one was healthy born. They attacked that thing immediately.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, Steve.
As far as the culling thing, another reason we go cull out a chicken with a weird leg or whatever, is our farm is very public. We have people come on our farm, buy our products, right out of our garage, we do farm tours and see what they say. If somebody comes to your farm, you got 1,000 chickens out there, there's one with a bone leg. That's the one everybody's been doing.
That's a great one. That's a great one. Yeah.
I just have to ask, what is the most humane way to take care of that issue? I'm sorry.
No, I think it's a very legit question. What do? Do you ask them, Jennifer?
I asked them.
Okay, she cuts their neck, which is very, very fast.
Uh-huh.
You know, your great grandma used to axe, And I showed Pat how to do just the breaking of the neck yesterday. Personally, I like that because there's no blood involved unless I accidentally decapitate the bird. But once you learn that technique, it's very, very fast. All right. So we don't do. I mean, I'll teach you how to call on your farm. We wouldn't do it at a workshop here because sometimes there's undercover PETA here. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be me. Obvious, I'm just kidding.
Let's see. Yeah, back there.
When I was looking at the numbers earlier, and you were speaking about culling, and you begin as soon as you start to notice issues, potentially you could be culling or killing quite a few animals. What do you do with all of those animals if they haven't reached a processing size yet?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Because Pat, to the bird yesterday, she was, oh, let's wait till kill it, I'm going to eat it. I'm like, there's nothing to eat here. Okay. He thought it was heavier. And I'm exaggerating a little bit. That's a very legitimate concern as a breeder grower eating that bird. So I would evaluate that based on the size that you're culling them. You know, when they're baby chicks that are deformed or whatever, I would just destroy those and bury those or, you know, compost them.
Wood chip really intensely, and if you accumulate a 3 to 4 foot depth of wood chips, just like hard and soft, it doesn't matter. You dig a big pit in the middle, you put them all in there, and then no. You need the wood chips. You need a large mass of organic material for it to be successful in order to reuse it as compost in the future.
So you dig a large hole, fill it with chips, bury your culls under there. And
In the chips, and then in a year or so you can dig it out and use the wood chips. And it doesn't smell either. If you get the wood chips, keep it out there.
Hey, here's another thought from Pat about crooked beak. Z, Deke mentioned that. That's a good observation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stem my dad public image here. I was losing when I was not thinking out of the feet. But I didn't realize I was losing until Jim rolled her around a couple of times. She was putting a lot of feet on.
Because of the way her beak is, she was a lot of feet.
And I actually left and every day. I don't know how that feet on still.
Yeah, good. All right, couple things here. I gave you all an evaluation, if you kind of between now and when I end here. If you would give me your feedback, that would be great. The other thing that I'm really excited about, there's two cards that have the same bird. One's the Carolina Heritage Poultry Coalition. This is the Sustainable Poultry Network. This Sustainable Poultry Network, basically what's evolved, and just real quick on this, is we went from North Carolina to national, and it's lots of pockets of excitement around the country. It was called, you might have seen it, it was printed the Hen House Coaching Network. And some sharp business type folks that kind of got involved said, bad name, really? I kind of like the Hen House action going on. But anyways, so, and folks came along and said, we want to invest, we need a new website, we need a new logo, we need to figure out ways of doing some of this training material on DVDs and do podcasts, and so that you're not so isolated from the training opportunities. And so some of this brand new work like this logo, the new website, I definitely want to encourage you to go and take a look at it. One of the things that's not 100% ready yet, but it's going to have a forum for members and non-members. And the idea is that you can go on there and interact with other partridge chanticleer breeders, other barred rock breeders with the same core values, and go in and be able to learn from what other folks are doing. Okay. The other thing is that this is our new national label. So we are working with Slow Foods, with Appalachian, with Piedmont Grown, with all of the heritage foods. And this label, when your flock becomes certified, this label can go on your eggs and your meat. And that will, so when Slow Foods goes, how do we know what Todd's producing? If they see this, we're building those relationships in the market to say, oh, when they see this, we know that it's the whole idea of trust, taste, and tradition. And so take a look at the website. Some of you, you may or may not say, hey, As far as being involved in mentoring, you can go on the website and look at, you can be, and this could be all you do to be involved with what we're doing, or there's or a membership in the network, and part of that is me and or another coach coming to your farm a minimum of 4 times a year. And during a process of mentoring you and getting you set up. What I discovered is I teach this seminar, and then I never see you again. So today we did training for understanding. What really has to happen though is the coaching for implementation and the mentoring for multiplication. Okay? As I said, Pat wasn't in the pictures a year ago. Okay? Jennifer got into the picture a couple years ago. Now they've developed this relationship, and it becomes what Jennifer's learning, because she's just a little bit ahead of Pat, and she can mentor and be involved. And in a sense, Pat's surrounded by the coach where she got her birds, and me the coach because she joined the network. Okay? And it's really, really exciting. Now, in some cases, you can call Bub, or Bub's in the mentoring program, the Morses are in the program, Pat's in the program, Jennifer, or you go to Piedmont, Western Piedmont, and say, you know, I don't want to join the network, but I want to glean and kind of peek in, go for it. There's nothing about, you don't have to get my approval to go visit one of their farms. As much free time as they'll give you, take it. All right? And so, but I will also tell you that as this string grows, we have farmers going, you know, they're trying to breed. Rocco's also, this is a model farm. And the busier they get, at some point, you know, they got to figure out a way to say, boundaries, we're going crazy here, you know, everything that's going on. But we're working to develop more coaches so that we can get the birds back into the marketplace, and that's what the network is all about. We do more extensive training that, you know, you can discount, come to, and so it's pretty exciting. So let's talk about, and I want to just fly through this. I think it's an important piece, but don't want to spend but maybe a half an hour, and we'll wrap this up on budgeting, marketing your small farm business planning. Okay, Steve and I started to have a conversation that has to do with this top section. We found that we have 5 bottleneck issues. All right? Number 1, this is in your outline, those top 5 there. Okay, in order for this to happen, we need breeders. Okay? We also need people who say, I'll grow the birds. We call them growers. Okay? Bottleneck issues. Okay? Number 3 is processing. That means, how are you going to get the bird processed? Because guess what? When you only have 10 chickens, Tyson, Purdue, Pilgrim's Pride, they are not interested at all at processing your 10 chickens. You got to figure out how you're going to get that done. That is one of the bottleneck issues. Okay? Number 4 is the idea of, this is kind of minor, but it is an issue, I call it cold storage. So, at Western Piedmont, they say, hey, we're going to process 1,500 partridge chanticleers next year. They just happen to process 700 of them at one time. Where are you going to keep them? Okay, minor, but it's an issue. Number 5 is marketing. Okay? Now, intentionally, we have discovered, how am I doing on video? Am I driving you crazy? Okay. These are intentionally in this order. Because, here's what we found. Let's do a tasting event with barred rocks and partridge rocks or partridge chanticleers and Delawares and Buckeyes, those 4. We do a tasting event. We have chefs there, consumers there, all these people who are saying, wow, we want to get back to having chickens that are grown locally. We do this marketing event. At the end of the event, and you're saying you're all part of this tasting event. At the end of the event, John goes, where do we get the bird? I'll buy them. Chefs, we'd love to have them in the restaurant. I have a chef in Charleston, South Carolina, says, I want 100 Buckeyes a week. As soon as you can produce 100 Buckeyes a week, I'll never buy a Cornish cross chicken again. So, we can market them. And I go, oh, I guess we just did this tasting event. You all like the Buckeye, and you like Chanticleer, and you like the Bartlett drop carcass. But we don't have a bird. So you gotta have breeders first, okay? But in the industry, you also need the growers. So I was saying, Bob really, he and I walked through this. Bob, you want to breed or you want to grow? Okay, he's excited because he likes to sell ice to Eskimos. Okay, he's probably got a marketing edge to him. Okay, not all of you do, but a bunch of you, some of you do, all right?